Yep. Okay, I should have audio now. Please let me know if you see me and or if I have audio. Welcome to FlatForge office hours. No, HueForge office hours, and I will talk about FlatForge. Had a nice cold water, so I'm ready to go. Just let me know if you are here. Alright, well, I'm waiting to hear from somebody. Let me pull. Um, I had an email from someone with some images, and they're not totally ideal, but we can break them up and we can. There we go. Work on those. Alright, let's make sure that Google thinks I'm live. Yep, Google thinks I'm live. Oh, no, I don't have that set. Hmm. Okay. Hey, I see there's some people. Can you hear me? I think I should have audio. Looks okay. Bearded Printer, are you following me around? No, I'm sure you were following Liz, and Zombie around last night. I just happened to be there. Alright, just wait for a few people to come in. We got some people here, I see. You do need to be subscribed for 5 minutes to my channel in order to chat. It's just a little bit of, spam reduction. Yeah, it's fair. Bearded Printer is a stalker. It's official. Craig Smith, hello. So, I'm sure people want to have questions about FlatForge, and I'm here to try to answer those today and talk about them today. So, go ahead and queue those up. You can type them in now, and I will answer them during this discussion as much as I can. All right, I got this. Someone sent me these bookmarks they wanted me to show them how to do, but they sent them to me as one giant file as opposed to as all the bookmarks together instead of one file per bookmark. So I gotta split them up in an image editor. So I'm working on that right now for a sec. This really shouldn't be this hard. Let's just go with the smart selection tool. I was trying to avoid using that, but ooh, you're gonna have HueForge up while you're doing it. That is a good idea. Alright, so I can grab one of these. Grab that. Yeah, we'll cut that out. There. I am not seeing anything going on here. It's frozen hard. Okay. Okay. Yeah, but it won't. Yeah. Let's see here. All right. Okay, I think I'm back. Apparently, everything crashed. Everything. It was a GPU crash, I think. I was trying to do some lightweight image editing, and I believe my GPS or my GPU had a crash, which killed OBS. It killed HueForge. It killed my image editing software, and it actually also killed my camera software. But I couldn't tell that that's what it had done. So until I stopped the virtual camera on my camera software, it did not notify me that, oh yeah, it blew up. So, okay, I should be back now. Should be back. Sorry about that. I won't do image editing, apparently. That was kind of ridiculous. I literally was just trying to paste a new layer in. Should not have been a problem. But I won't do that during the stream. I'll do my best without it. Okay. Should be back. Let me know if I'm back. I see that I have audio. I see that I have video. Looks like I should be resumed again. So just let me know. All right. And I'm trying to look at the page, and of course it's running a couple of ads for me before the live stream. There we go. Yep. I see it moving, so I think we're good. All right. Okay, good. Pull that down for now. All right, sorry about that. Did not expect that to happen on a Control V. I just tried to paste an image and it didn't like it. Okay, so let us talk a little bit about HueForge. Again, if you have specific HueForge questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. Let me switch my screen here and move myself down a little bit. And let's talk HueForge. Actually, I think if I turn my image off, that doesn't matter. Okay. So this is an image that... Okay, so first of all, I'll say that I honestly think that big images are not really where HueForge shines, but it's an easier way to demonstrate how HueForge works and what it looks like. But I don't think this is where HueForges shine. I think they really shine with smaller images, bookmarks, toasters, things like that. I have done some larger items like this. I showed this off last night. It's a box, but it's flat, which was nice because I could turn this over and print it face down on the bed and print the lid like this, integrated with the HueForge as part of it. So I just made a pocket the right size for the HueForge for that. And then I could print it all together. So there's no glue here. This isn't glued in. This is printed in, so it's nice and smooth. There's no gaps. There's no glue marks or anything. Now, none of the slicers will currently let you print just the HueForge part at your HueForge layer heights. You're going to have to print everything for that little bottom at your HueForge layer heights. But then once you've gotten past that, you can go to your normal... you can change the infill on the other object, but you have to merge them into one object. They have to be one object. And then once they're merged into one object, they have to have the same layer heights. They can't have independent layer heights per object. And the Purge Tower, Prime Tower won't won't work with that. So, but this is an image. Now, one thing I'll tell you with FlatForge, you notice I have all these black islands popping up here that on a normal print wouldn't really be what you'd want. They would look not so good. But when you FlatForge it, which you just, this is super easy. Come over here, FlatForge. It generates my meshes. And then if we look, I'm going to bring this. All of those black areas are now flat at the top. So these little edges are something that I have on my schedule to fix before release. They don't really show up in the print, but I don't like them. They show up in the models. And they are there. There are small gaps. But all the black is at the same level as everything else. So those islands of black that you can see over here don't matter in a FlatForge print. They're going to show up as flat with the rest of the model, which is nice because then you don't have to worry about that. I have a version of this that I printed. I'll come back to this. A version of this one that I printed. And this one has a little bit more. There's a little bit of white surrounding this. That should actually go away with the current version. This was printed before this current version, where you can see that there's really good, if we zoom in here, you can see there's really good black all the way through here, and it's not on this image. On this image, this is white. This is one of the changes I made. So this is actually a setting that I think I'm going to take out, but it's vertical walls, which makes it so the meshes have vertical walls. Generally, HueForge models don't have, they have slightly tilted walls on all layers because that's how it works. So when the walls are slightly tilted, they don't look as good. So anyway, they don't fill the gaps as much. So this makes them better. So this I just haven't reprinted this one yet. The other thing that you can do is you can choose face down or double-sided. Face down is going to give you a transparent layer over the top. This is actually over the bottom. It's going to flip when you save it. It will be saved upside down. It'll actually flip the Z here. This will save upside down, so you won't have to flip it over in the slicer or anything. And then it's going to save one file per each of these colors. So you're going to get files that are named, you know, whatever we call it, Flower Girl. I can actually add a project folder for that, so it's going to the Flower Girl folder. And then it's going to make Flower Girl King Rune Black 2, Flower Girl King Rune Red, Flower Girl King Rune Yellow V2_2. So it'll create all those models. Oh, no, I don't know that. You've been just not seeing me for a while. Okay. How much did I not show? All of the stuff about vertical walls, right? All right. So let me close this. There's still some refresh issues, so let me bring this back up. Vertical walls are off. Oh no, vertical walls are on. Thank you, Ajax. I did not catch that. You and Danny both helped me out. Alright, so vertical walls are on. We got much better, tighter things, but you can show, you know, if you want to, you can hide layers. That's not that black layer. This is that. I could hide that black layer, make it go away. It's still gonna save it, but it'll go away. I can make it a wireframe if I want. All this is pretty much just nice to have. They don't really do much for you. But the vertical walls thing, that's probably going to be. I'm probably just going to take this option out because I don't think there's ever a time you don't want the vertical walls. So what it's going to do, you notice these black edges are a little bit thicker now. So what it does is anytime you have 2 points and they cross, but where they cross is between layers, is not exactly on a layer, or between grid points in the mesh, it will just take it and go like this. It'll make it vertical, and it'll make it vertical from the bottom up. So whatever the bottom point is, it'll make that vertical up to the current top. And I'm going to zoom in on myself because that's how it works. Still don't know what command I'm doing to do that. So that's just going to give you a much better Actually, to be honest, what it's actually doing is right now it's actually doing this, so it's moving this point over, and this one stays the same. But I may actually just move the whole top over. So right now it's actually not. It's actually moving just up to where that intersection should be, and then apparently this is zoom in. I don't understand that at all. Okay, you don't need my mega head in there. All right, so if you want to do, when you do face down, it's going to create a transparent layer. It's going to flip the z-axis here to show you that it's upside down. Now, why do I have a transparent layer here? Why do we get one layer of transparent that's represented here? That's because HueForge layer heights are 0.04, 0.08 millimeter layers, or in this case 0.05. I don't want to print that as my first layer. 0.05 millimeter first layer would be very hard to get to work. So by making one transparent layer, it will automatically be made at whatever your base layer thickness is. So you may want to change that like to thinner if you want, but 0.2 works fine. It will make one layer of transparent at 0.2. So when you have it in the slicer face down, it will be easy to print that first layer. It'll be transparent because it's so thin, and then the rest of your print can print as normal on top of it. If you do have a thicker base thickness, you could do a height range modifier at the bottom or at the top of your model as well. I will say that you do not need to thicken your model the way that you do with other HueForges. So, for instance, I have this HueForge, and it's pretty flexible and bendy because the thickest part is like the tip of her nose and maybe the bits of her cheek here, but the rest of it's thinner, and the black sections are fairly thin. For a flat forge, the whole thing's the same thickness. Everything's all the same thickness. And so the thinnest part of the whole thing is exactly the same as the thickest part. It's all the same height. And so it's a much more solid, this print is much more solid even with a 0.3 base thickness, because the total height is nearly 2 millimeters. The whole thing is basically 2 millimeters flat all the way across. It is important to note that you are not seeing blending here. This is the slicer view. I've labeled it slicer view. And then if you want to see how it works, you can explode it. This is just a view thing to help you visualize what's going on, where you can see, we have this white layer here, this little bits. We have the yellow, green, black, and you can see how down here that the previous layers are kind of embedded into the lower layers. That's how FlatForge works, is it kind of embeds everything into layers below it. This is just a visual to help you see what's going on in FlatForge. It doesn't actually... Exploding it doesn't change how it saves or anything like that. It's just a way to see what's going on, and it looks kind of fun. And then double-sided will automatically mirror one side. For this image, probably not. You probably don't want to do double-sided, but you can see here we now have twice as much, and it'll automatically make it so that the transparent side is down. The back side, the up side, will be mirrored. So double-sided right now with text isn't great because one side is going to be mirrored text and the other side is not. Not for this release, but at some point in the future, I'll probably allow it to draw a rectangle around a region that's text, well, any region, and say don't mirror this. Joe Bob, when is this the official kickoff for FlatForge? No. This is just a preview. We're still in preview. FlatForge should be out by the end of the month. Hoping to release it just before I go up to 3D Printopia, or it may be released at 3D Printopia. We'll see. What will happen probably later this week is a release of HueForge, the HueForge version that will work with FlatForge as a beta, just to make sure that there's no new bugs or things with that version of HueForge, that everything works there. It'll release as a beta. Just for a short period of time, just to confirm that, because I'm releasing two separate things, an updated version of HueForge and the plugins. And then once everything's good there, we'll do a full release of HueForge 9.2 and the plugin at the same time. So it should be a short, 1 week-ish beta. And it's literally just to make sure that, there's not a lot of bugs right as I'm releasing it that I missed. So you will need to update your HueForge to use these plugins. The whole plugin system has been added as part of this. Okay, so when you finish this, you say, okay, I've got this picture. We're going to say Flower Girl. It does try to help you autocomplete here. It should, and it'll warn you, hey, that you're going to overwrite one that was modified apparently 48 weeks ago, which is not correct. I'll have to fix that. And if you want to, you can save project in folder. It'll create a folder for you. And then you just hit OK, and it will start saving. It'll give you a progress bar as it's saving, and there it's done. There are no pre-orders. There's no reason to pre-order. I don't need your money right now. It's not going to help. It just means that you spent money early for something you're waiting on. It'll be $15 for the first 2 months. It's not for the first 2 months of use. For the first 2 months after release, it will be sold at $15, and that'll be a one-time payment. Never pay again. Get updates forever. I can't guarantee that every update is going to work with HueForge if you don't have the current version, but it'll be a one-time payment, and then after that time period, if you wait until December, it will be $20 one-time payment. So there's not really a reason to pre-order at this point. Just order it on probably the 28th or something, the end of September when it comes out. I do appreciate that people are interested in it, and that's awesome. Another cool thing that is in this version of HueForge is that you can actually pick a layer. And here you can see this layer is the whole background. I can right-click on the color core now, or Shift-T, and make it transparent. So if you don't have, or if you're not good at image editing or things, and your image works for this, which not every image does, then you can do some simple transparency stuff automatically. And just so you note, HueForge does not print the lazy programmer rectangle. So there won't be a lazy programmer rectangle around this. It will be truly cut out. It'll be a cut out version. And that's also now possible when you save. So if I go to save this project, there's an option here to go to advanced options. If I click on that, I can choose to split by color or remove background when I save my project. So when you're normally just saving your project just to keep your progress, you should just use the standard save project. But if you have a cutout, then you might want to come here and remove background, and you might want to split by color. Split by color will also remove the background. Split by color makes it a lot easier in the slicer. So if I go into Orca Slicer, let me launch that. It makes it easier in the slicer, but it takes more memory. So on a system that doesn't have a lot of memory, on a system that if you're trying to do a lot of files, it's not recommended to use. It's not recommended right now to use split by color. But if you have the system for it, it's fine. So we'll come here, projects. I just did Flower Girl, and we will go by type here, grab all of these, and drag them into here. You can see like there's 17 files here, so there's a lot more files, and each one of these files is pretty big. So this is going to make a lot more triangles, though it doesn't massively impact slicing, except for memory. If you can't handle the memory requirements for it, it can impact your slicing. But in general, it doesn't make the slicing that bad. And see here, this one's taking a little while to load because I have so many files. It's a large double-sided. I don't recommend doing large double-sided models. Okay, so now you would come into objects and you would start setting up your colors. So let's change. I need a red, I need a yellow, I need a green. So let's just change that to a green for now. Like, you would actually pull whatever green color you have in here, and then you're going to come here and just, if you click on the box and hit the number up there, so 2 and 2, these are black, these are right, then this is 3, I just inhaled a gnat. It's been flying around bothering me, so. Okay, 5, 5, 5, 5. And then this is white, which is 4, 4, 4, 4. And we'll run transparent as white as well. And then there's your file. You don't have to do any funny. You don't have to do any funny business about layer swaps or anything. There's only one layer swap that might be required here, And the only layer swap that might be required here is if you do want to just use, like, say you just got down to 4 colors. If you did want to use the same slot for the white and the transparent, here I pretty much have to have 2 AMS units anyway, so I could just say, okay, well, I have to have 2 for this, so we'll just add another color, and it'll be transparent. We'll make it like a light gray, and we'll say, okay, this is 6. And then we have it separated. That's like your light gray down the bottom. But if some people have asked, if you want, you can copy this transparent layer to the top, but you really don't need it at the top. And I don't know that it makes anything better at the top, but you could, in theory, transport it to the top as well and copy it and add it. But if you did have a 4-color HueForge and transparent, which makes 5, and would need 2 AMS units, and you don't have 2 AMS units, you don't want to use 2 AMS units, then you can slice this, and this would take a while to slice, and then you set a pause, or you set a pause basically, or on a tool change or a color change for the tool at layer 2. Not layer 1, it feels like it should be layer 1, but it's not. You put it at layer 2, and then you can swap like your transparent for the white, and just have it be the same slot, and then you can use just the one swap, and that's all, and you're good to go. If you print face up, you don't need a transparent layer. So this transparent layer really only gets added for face down HueForges. Now, I will say that face down HueForges are probably the most interesting HueForges, but it isn't required. And then, so as I said, you can save these. You could save this as one regular layer swap HueForge with a cutout, so no background. That is going to be more triangles than if you don't, or you can save it as swap or split by color, and that just means every slider here is going to be a split. So, you know, layers 0 to 3, or, well, technically 0 to 2 will be black, and then to red, and then to yellow, and then to white, and then back to black, and you'll get all those layers as individual model files. And they won't be split up, though, so it'll be one model file even if they're separated, which is kind of nice. It's absolutely possible to slice in Prusa Slicer. I've done it in Prusa Slicer for my XL. Absolutely, these slice in Prusa Slicer. Now, for color by object, you will need to have it believe you have multiple tool heads. Well, either tool heads or MMU, you can use it for either one, as long as it allows you to set multiple colors as effectively tools, so that you can color by object. But yes, I've used Prusa Slicer for this as well. It works pretty much the same way. I actually printed this on my XL. Not the double-sided, the single-sided on my XL without... Cancel that right now. Now, it does some annoying things with the tower and arrangement, but yeah, you could totally bring this in here and do the same thing. The big key here is you have to tell it that, yes, you're loading this as a multi-part model. Let me show you real quick, by the way. It's not what I wanted. Yeah, Orca Slicer's taking 6.5 gigs right now of memory. And then Prusa Slicer will take another 6 gigs of memory. So if you don't have the memory free for it, it's going to be a problem. And in fact, oh, here we go, yeah. Prusa Slicer is starting to climb. Here, I'll bring it over. Prusa Slicer up to 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6. And then it's loaded. There we go. See, it takes a moment. It's hanging up here a bit, especially since I'm on the stream. Okay, so it's in. The one thing I'll tell you is this is a lie. So you only want to move it back and move this down, because this won't slice properly. It'll go off the edge, which I think is awful that it does that. That's something that I really hope they fix in the new version. And then again, you just color it the same way. So here I have green. Let's go to my serpent green. There, that's a black, a white. I have 2 whites. Let's put a red in here. And then I can go through and say, okay, well, this is... Now, it is a little tricky. They don't always show. So I can go in here and say this is 2. This is 4. 4. 4. And then 1. Oops, 4. 1, 1, 3, 3, 3, 3, 5, 5, 5. And then this one I would need to do, because it's all 5 colors, it's 5 colors plus a transparent. So I would need to do a slice and a swap there. And then it'll show the same way. So absolutely possible, as long as you have the ability to put multiple filaments. This HueForge, I'm going to get rid of this for memory reasons. HueForge 100% requires that you have an MMU, AMS, tool changer, CFS, Triadrac, ERCFA, whatever it is you use to swap filament, you must have that for HueForge. You don't need to have it if you just cut this model to slice by layer. That's not required. But for any flat operations, you're going to need one of those tools. And again, this is just slicer view is the same as HueForge view. All right, questions on that? Any questions? By the way, you can do multiple layers that are transparent. Obviously, this is the problem with having a black background, is all the black is gonna, there's normally a lot of black and it's going to show up. But if you wanted to do different layers transparent, if you wanted to do something where you just didn't like how something looked and you're like, I'm just going to cut it out and then fill it with another print, you could do that. It is a little trickier when you have all the blends. You might have to take out quite a bit to get all of them. But the transparency can be done. You can see what's going to be affected by the transparency when you highlight a layer. It's whatever's flashing. All right, I'm sure there must be a couple questions. I'm not seeing anything, but are there any questions? I will tell you also that I'm looking for questions, but I will tell you also that the meshes generated by this are slightly different than the ones that are being shown in prediction. You should not, Jason, need to specify the print order of the colors. You might. I mean, it is possible, depending on the tuning of your printer, that in order to get thin details to show up, they need to be first. I have never done that. I have not specified the order at all, and my prints have come out very nicely. But it is possible. Natural equals anything with a. That's a good question too. Does natural equal transparent? I mean, there are clear, actual transparent filaments. Those are obviously more transparent, but natural equals transparent. I've only used natural for mine. The prints that I have are all with Polymaker Natural. Anything with like a 15 plus TD should work pretty well. At one layer, it's going to be extremely transparent. And in fact, some people have already talked about, well, what if I wanted, one of the cool things about printing face down is getting hollow textures, hollow effects, and bed textures and stuff in your print, which is actually kind of a cool thing. But one of the other things people have talked about is, what if I use like a mostly transparent, sparkly thing to give it a color cast or to give it a little extra effect on the surface, and that's absolutely potentially a possible thing to work with as well. People can totally do that. But yeah, in terms of other changes in this build, there are not a ton of other changes in this build. It's mostly bug fixes. There's still a few bug fixes I need to finish, and this is not resuming correctly for one. There does appear, I did not realize this bug was this bad on macOS, but apparently if you have this particular, if you have the depth mode here, or the mesh mode covered, and you click on it, you can click on this to make it pop up, and then you try to choose it. On macOS, that will crash sometimes. It'll at least freeze in the best case and crash in the worst case, so you should make sure that's uncovered. So yeah, the plugins thing will pop up once you have a plugin in. Trying to think. Don't think there's just bug fixes in a lot of this other stuff. I did fix it so that on macOS, I added delete slider here with the delete key, and then that's a right click, by the way. If you right click on any of these, you can just pick one of these, they'll work, or it'll show you what the hotkey is. Same thing's true here. If I right click, Shift T will remove transparency. Right click, make single layer transparent. I fixed the bug on Mac OS that you couldn't delete. It turns out, okay, yeah, that makes sense. It turns out that holding down function while hitting delete will also work on Mac OS, but because Mac OS delete button actually sends backspace, and I wasn't checking for it. So now I check for both backspace and that. Yeah, that's right. TD0 support has been added. Not well tested. That's something we need to test before final release. But HueForge is now much more agnostic about what device you have to talk to it for TD. TD0, we have done some testing to prove that that does work, but there's some TD1, TD0 things that need to be ironed out finally. So we'll talk about transparency again. So the mesh core is disable layers. The color core is transparent layers. You can't do transparent layers on the mesh core, but you can pick a layer. This one is basically my entire background. You can right click on it and make it transparent. And again, so black is almost never going to work if it's a black background because you're going to have black in your image. But white is very often not in an image, pure white, so it can be safe to pull white out of an image. And it can be at the bottom, it can be at the top, it doesn't matter where it is. So it's just a right click and make single layer transparent. Obviously you don't want that, and you could stack multiples if you wanted to. They will save and load. I don't think, and actually I think they don't move, okay. They should be able to move. I'll check that. Because disables move, and there's no reason. They're basically done the same way. So, it does not matter what color the background is, except that the background needs to not be in the rest of the image. So, if you have that same color somewhere else, everywhere that's on that layer, everywhere on this layer is going to be made transparent, which is why a black background often won't work, because if you've got any parts in here flashing, those are going to become transparent as well. So the ones I've had the most success with so far is white, but because not that many images have pure white in much of it. But yeah, it does matter what the color is. Yes, if you had a purple background on this image on screen, you'd be fine to get rid of it. Absolutely. Yep. As long as it's assigned to a layer somewhere, as long as your mesh core has it assigned to a layer somewhere, it doesn't even matter where it is. So that's a nice thing. So let's just say that you did have a purple background and you couldn't figure out where to put it in the mesh core to not have it be wrong. You could just grab it, stick it at the top, and then make it transparent, and then it would go away. So here you see there's the issue where if I try to use this layer up here, it's not gonna. Oh, actually, it's this layer here. I think, yeah. If I use this layer, then it's gonna grab the face, and if I use this layer, it'll just grab the background. So it doesn't, again, because it doesn't really matter where it is, right? Because you're going to make it transparent. So that's a nice thing about it. Oops. What did I do there? There should be a white there. I don't know what I did to this, but let's just Control Alt O. We'll discard and reload. There we go. And then we can make it transparent. You can use it in any mode. That's a good question too. Wow, good questions. Yeah, it is not color match specific. I did get it working in standard. So yeah, if I just switch this over to standard. Obviously, that's not the right layer now. So you need to find where that layer is here, and then you make this transparent. Obviously, the rest of the image is garbage, but yeah, it works here just fine. And yes, you can. It can be one layer taller than your top slider here. It should work in ColorPop too. That's actually kind of a cool image there in ColorPop. It should work in ColorPop. as well. Yep. There I need 2 layers to make it fully transparent, but yeah. You can use it in any mode. So, and then color aware should work as well. Yep. So, it does not care what mode you're in, but it's a good question. And again, it doesn't have to be the background. You could decide you wanted a particular part of the image transparent, or with a hole in it or whatever, and it would be pretty easy to do that way. Like maybe, for instance, it's hard. You know, it's hard to get the region you want selected specifically, but you could put a blob color, a circle of color right on top of it, and then hit that color. I think this can be useful for stained glass and some other things too. There might be. I might make a version that's not transparent, but makes it base thickness tall. So if you wanted it to still be there, but you wanted, like if you wanted to remove a region because you wanted to print something else and glue it onto it, then you could set it to base height. I haven't done that yet, but that may be something that I add. Challenge email again. Man, you're just helping me out. Is steve@thehueforge.com. And send emails there with office hours image. I do have a couple. I have one that someone sent last week. Here we go. It's actually 2 they sent last week that look like a lot like ColourPop, so we'll take a look at those right now. And then I have some bookmarks. So here's an example of, let's reset this all. Okay. So we can do this in 2 ways. We can do this in ColourPop or Color Match. The only issue here with ColourPop is some of these reds are really integrated with these whites, and it's going to be hard to, it's probably going to be hard to get them right. Let's try ColourPop first. That would be my first thought, would be ColourPop. Bring the tolerance up. Can't see the tolerance. That's interesting. Oh, because of the font size. Okay. Oh, we need to actually bring in a ColourPop. So ColourPop, of course, you need to rebase, and you'll need whatever color we want. So red. Get a red in here. And then, based on our tolerance, more or less ends up in the red region. What is going on here? Am I inverted? I am inverted. That makes more sense. Okay, that was inverted. Alright. And remember, you can come in here, Control X, get rid of those, and then Control V and put that back down here. Alright, now that's looking better. So, I don't know why it was set to inverted, but it was. So we can adjust this to see if we can get like these reds higher up in the color region. But I think that we actually probably want to use them down in the bottom and just keep bringing up our tolerance until they're pretty much out. This is the problem here. And then we can kind of set this up. And then if we want, we can bring a little red down here maybe to get that kind of reddish feel to it. We can go that way. So that would be one way to go about doing this. It's not bad at all. We could bring a brown in here maybe to, instead of that gray, maybe a brown. Maybe too much. Put that brown up here on top of the gray. Maybe we make this brown instead of red. You have options here. But yeah, you can get pretty close with just red and in ColourPop, but you miss these, like, you can't hit these subtle blends as well, things like that. So I would probably do this in Color Match. I just move these over. Well, let's come over here. All right. So we have the dark and we have the bright red and we have the dark red and we have this browns and stuff. So I probably would just start with a standard build up. with like a brown here. Probably too high of a TD for reality. And then we'll get our bright red in here. And then our orangey color here. Probably change this for more realistic TD for a red. And then it's just a matter of how much of this other color do we want in here. Do we want to bring the white down and then blend up to this other color? Or, which doesn't seem to be doing much, we're not getting a lot of this. Or do we want to bring some of this, more of this color down at the bottom? So what we could do potentially is flip this region over. And then have the tan at the bottom here. And then blend it nicely that way. So that gives you more of like the dark red coming straight into the shoulders and things like that. But a little bit less of the clean gray. The light gray here, we don't have much of that. So that's kind of the trade-off. But I think that comes out pretty well. And then the other image they have is very similar with no black background. So here's the issue, right? If I were to say, okay, well, let's copy these over here. But see, if I tried to make this... oh, I can't get rid of my selection. Interesting. I got to fix that. All right, good to know. So I tried to fix these. If I tried to make this transparent, which is not working right now because there's a selection, I got to figure out how to make it's got to be added. I just got to put that in there. If I try to make it transparent, it would make all the black transparent. This whole area would be transparent, so wouldn't be what we wanted. So the other one just has a white background, so it's going to work pretty much the same way. A few tweaks here for the vest here. It's getting dark red there instead of probably the color we really want it to be, which is more like a really dark brown black, and that fixes that. We have a little bit of texture in the image up here, which is kind of playing a little bit of havoc with the background. That's partially JPEG artifacts too. It's pretty JPEGified. Okay, the other one I got, the one that caused me to crash, let me Control N, discard this, was some bookmarks. Some pretty cool bookmarks. But the reason I wanted them separated because obviously they have different color schemes. And some of them could almost go, like this one could probably be done in standard mode. Though you might have trouble getting exactly the order you want in terms of color blending. Oh, Danny. Alright, so we'll start... we want to put probably... Yeah, I think we'll just kind of work through this one in colors all the way down. It's orange. Oh, the orange should be up here. I haven't even added like realistic TDs here. I'm just trying to grab the main colors. So if we look at this image here, and then we actually try to set some realistic TDs. Oh, we can get rid of that one. And then, I mean, I think we're pretty dead on here. for that image. You could, if you want more specifics, if you want more orange in here, or better blend here, you can add some more colors, but that's generally how I'd go about this one. Might grab some of this yellow right around the edge here, so I get, yeah, that'll give me a much better blend, having some realistic yellow, and it lets the sun stand out. So there we go. That's how I would color match that one. You can probably make this smaller depending on what your filaments are. And that works pretty well for this one as well. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. It works pretty well for this one as well. I actually might just leave it and then go switch the colors a little bit. So this has like a greenish tint to it. I might actually just put the greenish tint in when I'm doing the... Well, that actually helped there, to put the green there to give me more layers when I was doing the match. But that works pretty well for both of those. And then we have... let's reset. We'll go from the dark green, I think, into a lighter green. And then I think we can just go to a dark blue from here. And then into more of a cyan. Or azure. And then white. And that's pretty straightforward. If you want more sky blue in there, you could go that way instead. So that one's not too bad either. We get the green in the foreground, and then we get the blue in the background. And then the ocean, it's pretty much the same. There's a little bit of a yellow into here, so we would need to use some of that kind of tan yellow in here. Might actually want that above the white, to be honest. And then this is more green and less blue down here, so we need to come up to a much lighter green. We might actually adjust some things here because we have the beach as well. I don't think we need as much green, dark green down here. So we might actually want to blend up to the blue and have our yellows down here so we can build our beach off of the green. We can get our darker color here. Then we need our intermediate. Or we have a dark blue up here that we're missing. And then this is like a real teal kind of color. There we go. I actually think we don't want our mountains down here. I think we want our beach down here. Get a few more shades here. And then have this come up to our darker color. So more of a tealy. So that's how we go about that. Alright, Danny sent me a test image. Those are always super fun. Let's see what we got. Thank you, Danny. Thank you so much. Alright, let me look at Craig's office hours image first. Oh yeah, that's going to be tough. Alright, Craig, you're not pulling punches. Any questions? Please throw questions in on the way. So, yeah. This one's the one I'm probably the least happy with here, right here in the sky. I'd tweak that a bit more. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, we'll reset. Not that. Reset, new project. And then we'll bring in this image. This is going to be difficult for sure. All right. First of all, let's look at how good this image is. It is a JPEG. It doesn't look like it's too bad, so we can work with that. All right. You got a lot of colors happening in a really small area. This is one where, unfortunately, we can't do transparency because, I mean, well, you got the JPEG artifacts, but that's right, the middle of the face is going to be the same. So that's definitely an issue. Might want to clean this up, the background being a bunch of different colors. But we'll skip that for now. We need to think about how we want this image to look. Hold on. Okay. No, it wasn't Mariah Carey. But, okay. Sorry about that. Some swim stuff. Alright, so. Gotta look at this. Alright, so I'm always looking at how colors will blend. Like how I can make them blend nicely. And like kind of consistently. And then what colors will blend from one into another. So I think for this one, I'm going to move my black up into the middle. And I'm going to go from white at the bottom to blue, this dark blue here. To get the eyes and the blue sections, including this lighter blue section here, which is like a slightly different shade. Okay, and then also you can see that it's pretty close to the green. So let me see if I can blend into a darker blue-green first. Yeah, there we go. And then we pretty much got all the blues and greens sorted out now. And so now, well, we don't have these light greens. Let's see, can we get this like seafoam green in here? Like this? There. And then a little more blue. That should reduce the TD. Oh no, that's low TD already. So we're not getting this, and we're not getting the darkest blue, so we'll add that here. And then we'll add this lighter blue in here somewhere. Okay, so now we pretty much have the blues and greens sorted out. Now we're going to probably want to build this red here. So, okay, we have two things going on. One, we kind of need to build the shirt. We kind of need to build this shirt out, which is... Oh, okay, so this white in the background is causing problems with the shirt. Got it. So, when I put the white on the background there, I either have to build the shirt right there. That might be the best thing to do. Just bring black down, some gray down. Give myself some TD here. And now the shirt is all on the bottom. Take that off for now. I'm going to need more blend depth for sure. And then, okay. So then we now need to, from here, we could actually probably go right into our purple from here. Which goes into pink. And then go into red from there. But then the problem is that we need to have this lighter color in here too. And we want skin tones, so that's going to be a yellowish. And we do want to eventually get to actually yellow for these polka dots. That's actually better than I expected it would be, to be perfectly frank. Don't call me Frank. There we go. That's not awful, to be totally honest. That's really not bad. Um, Considering how many colors we had and things. We could also try going this way. I think it's better with the polka dots on the top. And the only thing I'm missing here is this is coming up as yellow rather than this green, so. There you go. There we go. So that's about where I got, cleaning up some of these artifacts here would help. There's definitely some different colors here. If I put oh, that helps. There, that stabilizes the bottom a bit. Yeah, I think this is pretty good shape. The only thing I don't have is this is green now instead of brown. I could potentially put it up here. Yeah, that does work. There you go. Alright, so that's how many colors I have on the mesh core. So now we need to figure out how many colors is it going to be in total if I actually color it with filaments. So let's take a look at this. So we have our black here. We need a white. It's a 4.5, so the King Rune white here. Come over here. We'll need a purple or a blue. We'll need a red. Okay, we need several colors here. That same white. We'll use the same white up here to get that tone there. That's going to be our Jessie Bird yellow there. We're going to grab the lipstick red here. We're going to grab... want to see if I can combine some of these. So let's do the Polylight Starlight. We'll take the same yellow down here. That's a little strong. We'll tone it down. Get a pink. I think I have that as a 3 TD pink, which is actually pretty standard for a lot of pinks. The Overture pink here. And we need a blue. I think I can get away with just a blue here if I pick the right blue. Chrominal? So I can make it kind of purple off that blue. And then I do need an orange. And that's a 1 TD orange, which is not really realistic, but... that's not too bad for the number of colors we started with. That's not too bad. And then this is going bright yellow because we don't have a dark color here. I wonder if I could just use the green up here. Yeah, that looks okay. I mean, you kind of have some choices there. You could probably do the red up here too, to reuse. Or the orange. I kind of like this green though up here. And then that's what? How many colors? That is 8 unique filaments. So we're at 8 already. 8 colors already. It would be nice to be able to maybe replace one of these. So maybe this, if I made it more purple, like a galaxy purple instead, or HueForge purple, and get more of that purple color. And we don't actually lose that much blue from it, which is kind of fun, kind of nice. So, yep, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Eight colors fits in 2 AMS units, so 8 colors is better. In theory, we could go for a brighter red here. And then maybe put a black down here. Yeah, there we go. I like that. I like that a lot. What if we reuse the pink? Kind of works. So there's where we're at, I think. It's a pretty good position to be in. I'm pretty happy with that. That's not an easy image. To get that with 8 colors, I feel is pretty good. And I think we get pretty good color representation here too. So what do you guys think? That was not an easy one. Just so you know, Danny's, because he's Danny, is this one. Is the chroma canvas, which actually works out kind of okay with this blend. Let's do it. We're going to do this image. Let's see here. Chroma canvas can't, but we can. All right, so same issue. We have blues to green, we have black, and we have blues to greens. I do think this one's going to benefit. The detail will be better if we can, like the words and stuff will be better if we can put them at the bottom. I think it needs to be a little bit bigger to resolve details. Danny's kind of a jerk that way, so we don't worry about it. Oh, and this is very JPEGified. But there, I grabbed a different white, and that actually helps. It makes that work pretty well. In terms of the text is all really good now. And this background's going to be better. So now we want to work towards a dark color, and then we'll go back up to a light color. So it's probably easier to blend up reds and yellows than to blend blues up for most people. So we'll go with a yellow into a red here. So now we've got this half part of the face working. We could try just bringing that into a blue through purple. I don't know that we get enough purple out of it. We could make it a little lighter here. We don't really get much purple out of that though, so we'd have to grab our own actual purple in here. And then actually we'd have to split it like that. Like that. There's some pink in here. And then this greenish is going to be the hard one. It's really a matter of like where are the different layers of white going to be? That's going to be the trickiest part here. But we can get a lot of that. We can get a lot of that. It's mostly that the white are going to be on different layers with gaps and stuff. But otherwise, yeah. That's not bad. Generally, Joe, PNG is the best format. It's going to have the highest fidelity. Another good option would be WebP. WebP is also lossless. You want a lossless format if you can get it. Where's this going? Let's see here. That's going too far down. Let's grab a little bit of light blue. There we go. Clean that up a ton. Let's grab light pink. Clean this up. And then this, can I get this as light green, or is it going to be a different color? Yeah, that's going to be problematic. This is more of a green too, so we actually could do that more of a green there. And then put our yellow up there. Yeah, we can get a lot of that. And again, if we flat forge this, those whites would be fine. They'd be all in the same place. It's interesting that this white here is going there. So in the red region here, and again, it's very JPEG. Yeah, there's a lot of JPEG artifacts here, which is the problem. So if I were to take this into Topaz, Could probably fix this. Let's see here. I know you just ripped it from the web page. Let's open it with Topaz. Let's hope Topaz doesn't crash on me. Oh wow, that's a lot more. Look at that detail there. What mode did it upscale in? Low resolution, that's fair. Low resolution I think is probably the best. Let's export that. And then we'll put that in here instead. There. That's closer there, for sure. But I think we're going to have trouble with... Yeah. It's always going to be a bit tricky with those different whites. But we got a lot of it working pretty well. You didn't think I'd actually try it? You don't know me at all, do you? Can your chroma canvas do this? Should that be our tagline? Can your chroma canvas do this? That's what we're gonna... Need to grab that. There we go. So anyhow, yeah, that's not too terrible. I have some ideas to make this better in HueForge as well. It actually kind of killed our letters though. Our letters here now, actually that image update made our letters kind of pop all over the place. The small letters especially. They don't have very good, I think if we look here, they're kind of all over the place. Whereas the big ones are set, but the small ones now are. It's weird because over here on the hold on, let's try something. Yeah, it's not better. It's always worth checking these, but yeah. Anyway, there you go. That's right. There you go. Okay, if anyone has any more questions or images, I'd be happy to take a look. Close this. Before we finish. But otherwise, any questions on anything? It doesn't have to be on the images. It could be on the FlatForge or roadmap, or why are you wearing those dorky glasses? You can go for any questions, and then don't make Danny ask all the questions. Time to print it for the booth. Make it a FlatForge at the booth. Yeah, it's probably not gonna put that at the booth. It would be. I don't think I could get away with as many of my color tricks here. This would probably be a pretty significant number of colors here for this print. I'm figuring this is probably azure blue. Could be here. That's gonna be another white. then a purplish. Don't have that color purple. More of a pinkish? Okay. Pink. And then we need some color here. That's quick. So what's that? That is 7 colors. Okay. So, you know, it's kind of doable. It will be, it's a plugin for HueForge, so it'll be up in here in a plugin menu. So it'll be a separate download. It will be something that you'll tell HueForge to install. It'll just put it in the right folder for you, and then it'll show up in the plugin menu, and you'll be able to run it. So it's a separate download, but it then just integrates into HueForge, and you don't run it separately. It actually pulls information directly from HueForge to do this. So now I could do FlatForge Tiger. But it only shows slicer view here. It won't show more than slicer view. That's important to note. That it's only predicting slicer view, but it will actually show more. I might want another color here to get more shading on the red. Yeah, there we go. So they won't be 2 separate apps. They will be, but it will be a separate download, so if that makes sense. And any future plugins will be like that as well. You'll just tell HueForge to install it. It'll put it where it needs to go, and then it'll update the menu so that you can use the plugin. It's pretty straightforward. Oh, I could use a green here. That's going to push me over colors, but probably could benefit from a green here. Could I skip the black? No, I need the black for the background. Anything else? If not, I'm going to call it for today. I got to go handle dinner and some things like that. And getting the Mac plugin, the Mac version working. So does that mean with white flat you don't have to worry about layer height conflicts? Do you mean the slicer saying you can't print it at that layer height? I'm not sure what you mean. Can you clarify what you mean by layer height conflicts? Layer height conflicts are, I mean, you still would need to set your printer to whatever, you know, to support the layer height, minimum layer height that you want. That doesn't change because you still need to be able to print at the same, they're going to be at the same height. They're flat, so everything's going to be at the same height. So you're going to have red and yellow at the same height, and they're both going to be 0.04 millimeter layers. What you're going to do, though, is you're going to set color by object rather than color by layer. You might do one layer swap, but that's it. But here you have white, green, yellow, black, red are all at the same layer height. The only thing that's not here is the transparent that's only on the bottom. So FlatForge doesn't actually let you change any of the rules here. You make your HueForge first, and then you run FlatForge. Does that answer your question? Oh, I see what you mean. You mean this. If you did that. No, it doesn't change anything in terms of how HueForge operates. HueForge operates exactly the same way. You do HueForges exactly the way you did them before, and then when you're done, you turn them into FlatForges. You choose to make them flat at that point. So, you know, if I opened up this one, right? All the HueForge is done normal, and then yeah, I got to deal with that. Should be able to dump a deselect as well, but I need to, at very least, let you have your new one. Okay, you got it now? Cool. All right, thank you all for coming today. I should have another office hours next week. It'll be the last office hours before 3D Printopia. And then please come out to 3D Printopia if you're in the area. And thank you very much for... Obviously, this is European office hours mostly, so fewer of you there. But if you are in the area, please come out, say hello, meet Danny, meet AJ, meet Ian, and then you can, flick me off on the way out of the booth. But I'll see you guys all in a little while, probably about a month for the next office hours Europe. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye. Oh, next week it'll be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It's the U.S. office hours on Tuesday. It's always Tuesday.